Good morning. This would be Captain Sweep, aka Elijah, or the other way around. So, I've got to start explaining some of the tools here in such a way that you can understand them. Because I've had problems for some reason. People don't seem to understand what I'm trying to say. And you know, that can get a little irritating after a while because you think you're saying something that's something, but it's coming across as nothing. So, the maps. It comes down to the maps. It doesn't matter what I say, it doesn't matter what you say. We need a reference point for shared understanding. We need a reference point to begin to build things from that reference point, or else we're continually communicating in a way with no shared reference point, with nothing but our own inner worlds, disconnected, projecting and reflecting each other, but not really seeing or hearing who the other is, and each person not really understanding themselves, like their full belief and value system, to such a degree that if they are questioned on their philosophy of life, that they can answer it. You know what your code of honor is. You know what your rules are. You know what your goals are. You know what you are working on. You know who you are working with. And people who are like that are very different than people who are not. And in the business world, most people are attempting to be like that, and do so to various degrees of success. But in the non-business world, in the world where you're not paid for what you do, it's a different world, because you're not putting money first to direct you around what your sort of projects are, but you're generally lacking a lot of things that money sort of takes the place of, that you can sort of, like, if you have this constant money flow coming in, it's way easier in so many ways to maintain certain things, but at the same time, it's a great trap, because the scarcity of money and what, other people controlling how you get that money is all part of the prison mentality of how we are hooked into a infrastructure that sort of bleeds us all. And that's the big thing about uniting all of us, is that we're all sort of suffering from the same thing, and it's this infrastructure. If we don't sort of point fingers at people, it doesn't get personal, and then it doesn't become this kind of war battle mentality that runs everything, with people seeming to be against people, but it's not. It's infrastructures. It's the design of the way the systems are put together, and the where everything goes. I mean, if you mapped all the money flow, really, and you saw where all the money went, no corruption and no sort of hiding things, put it on paper, let's see the numbers, and then let's start from there. True facts, true data. Because down the road, it gets corrupted, it gets changed, and most people have no idea, no clue as to the larger money flows and who's getting them and how are they controlled, and then how do they get sort of watered down to the masses. By the time it gets to me and you, at the bottom of the gutter, it's a different sort of story. So it's like people like me and you who are, under the wrath of this sort of oppressive resource extraction system, where we go, we don't want this anymore. I mean, supposedly, in Canada, we say we're free, we say we're a democracy, and, it's not really that way. And there's a maturity that comes to a species or a person or a nation when you stop living in the illusions of the war propaganda of the nation to nation, or race to race, or religion to religion sort of wars. And so that's all we've been experiencing. And to go into a place of peace, there has to be a mentality of peace that is taught, at least to the children. And that's happening. But the educational systems we grew up in, have been sort of designed to limit us. And we're still caught in that mentality because we grew up in it. And it's only going to be sort of like the next few generations that say, forget it, man. I mean, we're not participating in that. And, they're trying to be drugged down because they're so advanced and they don't want to put up with the bullshit of this school system. And they're right in the heart of the beast. And so if you're, let's say, an awakened individual these days, and you say that you want to, participate in the spiritual evolution of your species, there's some really big reframing of history that has to happen, and a complete reframing of this present moment experience that we're having, and then a future that we share in outlook, in imagination, in dreams. There's something about the normal media that kind of robs people of so much of their own stardom. We're always looking to somebody else, and we're giving our attention away and our time away to this emdazzlement that is just, basically a scam to stop you from experiencing the beauty of life if it was set up the right way. If you weren't being fucked with, so to speak. And so the tools, well, now we're getting back to reference point, right? The tools are set up in a way that is not trying to be forceful about a doctrine. It's trying to get really basic and looking at basic words and how these basic words organize our mind, and then how does our mind interact with our actions and our conversations. Like, actions and conversations are two huge words that you can pull above all the others. There's a hierarchy of word significance, and so many words get sort of above the big ones, and the big ones get lost amongst all the words, and so you don't know what to focus upon. And the mind needs focus, but there's huge distraction. Like, there's huge distraction these days. And if there's no reference point to organize people in ways that are good for everyone, at the individual, the team, and the larger community, we're lost. And so this is like a team building system. This is a way to bring people together to act and communicate in a sort of new way. And these videos and what I'm trying to explain, because it hasn't been sort of done before, and I need help here. And I guess I'm asking for some research groups and people that want to learn a new thinking system, that want to get organized in how they connect with other people in teams, and then how do those teams connect together into communities. And it's business, and it starts with your mind. It starts with organizing your internal mechanism so that it's gauged to reality, so that the sort of paperwork you're doing, the documents that you have, are as simple as possible, as free of red tape, as something that's like a game all the time. It's fun. You're playing your life, and you found out how to bring your gift into the world, and you're working with a whole bunch of other nutballs to make the world a better place, and you're using these tools to organize your mind and the mind of the team and the mind of the community in such a way that you get shit done, that you attract, huge resources, and you are working with amazing people. Like, that's what I'm talking about.